do these drawn-out days is sit in my kitchen, Pheasant Ridge, where there are no pheasants to be seen, and last time I looked, no ridge. I could drive over to Quail Falls and spend the day there playing bridge, but the lack of the falls and the absence of quail will only remind me of Pheasant Ridge. I know a widow at Fox Run, and another at the condo at Smoky Ledge. One of them smokes, and neither can run. So I'll stick to the pledge I made to Midge. Who frightened the fox and bulldozed the ledge? I asked in my kitchen at Pheasant Ridge. Here's a tiny poem. You like little poems. It's so small. I didn't do the book. It doesn't make any sense without its title. It's called Divorce. Divorce. Once, 2 spoons in bed. Now, time forks across a granite table, and the knives they have hired. I like that sound. That gets straight away. So that's a poem with subject matter. Here's a poem with very subject matter. Written in during a little period of mine where I had very little to write about. Some of you are nodding your heads like, well, that seems to be the case pretty much all the time. But so I would just write on the top of a piece of paper some nonsense phrase or something I heard on the radio, and then figure, okay, that my job now is to try to write a poem under that title. So here's one of them. It's called Hippos on Holiday. Hippos on Holiday is really not the title of the movie, but if it were, I would be sure to see it. I love their short legs and big heads, the whole hippo look. Hundreds of them would frolic in the mud of a wide, slow-moving river, and I would eat my popcorn in the dark of the neighborhood theater. When they opened their enormous mouths, lined with big stubby teeth, I would drink my enormous Coke. I would be both in my seat and in the water, playing with the balls, which is the way it is with a truly great movie. Only a mean-spirited reviewer would ask, on holiday for what? Now, this is the title poem of one of these books. It's called The Trouble of Poetry. Don't worry, it's not that long. It's about one trouble of poetry. Well, before that, let me read this other poem that was sort of written in the same. You might not want to hear this because it was written in the same time period as Hippos on Holiday. But this is a poem called. It's called This Little Piggy Went to Market. This little piggy went to market is the usual thing to say when you begin pulling on the toes of a small child, and I have never had a problem with that. I could easily picture the piggy with his basket and his trotters kicking up the dust on an imaginary road. What always stopped me in my tracks was the middle toe. This little piggy ate roast beef. I mean, I enjoy a roast beef sandwich with lettuce and tomato and a dollop of horseradish, but I cannot see a pig ordering that until it's fed. I'm probably being too literal-minded here. I am even wondering why it's called horseradish. I should just go along with the beautiful nonsense of the nursery, float downstream on its waters. I don't want to be the one to ruin the children's party by asking unnecessary questions about Puss in Boots, or again, the implications of a pig eating beef. By the way, I am completely down with going wee all the way home, having done that many times, knowing exactly how it feels. trouble with poetry. The trouble with poetry. I realized as I walked along a beach one night, cold Florida sand under my bare feet, a show of stars in the sky. The trouble with poetry is that it encourages the writing of more poetry, more guppies crowding the fish tank, more baby rabbits hopping out of their mothers into the dewy grass. And how will it ever end? Unless the day finally arrives when we have compared everything in the world to everything else in the world, and there is nothing left to do then but quietly close our notebooks and sit with our hands folded on our desks. Poetry fills me with joy, and I rise like a feather in the wind. Poetry fills me with sorrow, and I sink like a chain flung from a bridge. But mostly, poetry fills me with the urge to write poetry, to sit in the dark and wait for a little flame to appear at the tip of my pencil. And along with that, the longing to steal, to break into the poems of others with a flashlight and a ski mask. And what an unmarried band of thieves we are. Cut purses, common shoplifters, I thought to myself, as a cold wave swirled around my feet, and the lighthouse moved its megaphone over the sea, which is an image I stole directly from Lawrence Ferlinghetti, to be perfectly honest for a moment. The bicycling poet of San Francisco, whose little amusement park of a book I used to carry in a side pocket of my uniform up and down the treacherous halls of high school.